that I could do all things through Christ that strengthens me. It wasn't my ability. So when my dad lost his job in my year 2 and I couldn't pay my school fees, normally, traditional Ralph, I was telling House of Bora yesterday, and she was shaking her head. When my dad lost his job in year 2, it was as if education had finished. But I just knew somehow, with some confidence, that I would finish school. I came back, I joined Ebasco Consulting Engineers just to help them, their draftsmen, be buying food. Because I was a year 3 student, waiting, I don't know anything. So the draftsmen would send me, go and buy amala, buy yam. When I come, they will eat. I'll be eyeing them, so that they won't finish the food. So the small yam they remain, they'll give it to me. Sometimes out of shame, they are still hungry, but this is my looking at your stomach. They will give me 1 yam. And that's how I was feeding. And then when they give me tips, I was keeping those tips. By the end of the term, that's what I would use to go back to school. But you know what was funny? Because I was helping them to buy that, they started teaching me how to draw structures. They started teaching me how to design members. They started teaching me how to do survey drawings. Most of the roads that were surveyed in Akwa Ibom before this construction, during about Thai's time, Charles is here, he can confirm to you, most of that survey was done by Ebasco Consulting Engineers, and I was on the team. But at the time, I thought I was suffering. But you know what happened? By the time we moved to year 4 and 5, all of the subjects that I was taught in year 4 and 5 were things I had practiced in Ebasco Consulting. You know what happens when you do a 6-credit course and you score 98% in a 6-credit course? Survey, structural design, highway design were all 6-credit courses. And in none of them did I score less than 98. Cumulative. Adversity grows you, but persistent adversity is not good. Next slide, move on. Time. So the big things you see today, they always start as small things. You don't break a rock by smashing it once. You smash it multiple times until one day, eventually, a crack occurs. The crack is always small. But then you keep going at it, it falls apart. And then someone says, wow, you broke this mighty rock. No, you didn't break it overnight. The 1,000 strikes that brought that small crack is actually what broke it, not the one strike that tore it open. Next slide. I'm going to tell you this final story, and I'll rush up and finish because of time. When I passed out of school and I got my degree, I did very well. I had a 2-1. I missed first class with 0.25%, which I begged and begged and begged at the Senate to give me. They said no. So I left with a 2-1. Ebasco Consulting Engineers retained me immediately. After retaining me, I worked with them for 18 months, and some of my friends from University of Illinois came around and said, Usain, there's a company, an American company that is hiring people. True life story. I hope I do have time to finish this story because there's a video I want to show you, but I have to rush. True life story. Kunle Ajayi drove his mother's station wagon, came and picked me from Ilaje, where we were living. I said, come with me. There is an American company that is hiring the best skills. People from Ife, Harvard, INSEAD have come back and they've joined this place. But University of Illinois people are not joining. Let us carry our best people. Let us go and try and at least get one person in. 9 of us were loaded ourselves into his mother's station wagon and went off to law school to go and sit for the test. First test, 8 o'clock in the morning. Out of the 9 of us, 7 failed, remaining 2. 1 hour only. 9 o'clock. So the question was, what do we do? Do they go with the station wagon and leave the 2 of us there? Kule said, no, we die here. All of us came together, we stayed together. The second test was a written one. Both of us passed. The third test, this was around 1 o'clock. The other guy failed. I was the only one left. And by then, guys were tired. They were hungry. We started taking bus, going. Kule said, I'll stay with you until we finish. The last test on that day was done around 5 o'clock in the evening. And then I was told that I'm among the 50 or so people that have been shortlisted to start the interview process. So I said, oh, the one we did today, what is that one called? They said they were just filtering out the dreg from the real people. That interview process lasted 9 months. 9 months. First interview, second interview, I was attending them I didn't care. I didn't know what the company was about. There was no Google. So I just know it was one company. Cooley said I should go. So I'll go to the interview. They interview me, I gist. They still come back next. I did 2, did 3. By the 4th interview, I was enjoying it. Then the 5th interview, something happened. After I finished the interview, I was walking down Broad Street, and a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Okwaki, I'm calling names. These are names you can Google, by the way. You know the thing about now, you can't lie anymore. They'll catch you. A gentleman by the name of Jonathan Okwaki saw me on Marina and said, I remember you. I was like, yes. He started calculating. Is this one of the guys that I've shafted? Where did they catch me? He said, no. You attended an interview in our company. I said, oh, yeah. Emini, it's me. He said, you did very well. We are very interested in you. This company will transform you. If you get this, your life will change completely. So I'm like, how exactly? And I said, the day you join the company, within 2 weeks of joining the company, they will ship you out of Nigeria. I said, hey, to where? He said, to America. I was like, really? He said, yes. The only time I'd entered a plane was in my secondary school when I missed the train. And my dad had to cough out 8 naira 90 kobo to fly me from Lagos to Maiduguri. That was the only time I entered plane. But now say I'll go to America. That thought that this company will make me go to America made me anxious. So the next time they called me for an interview, I was fidgeting. Because I didn't care before, but now I knew there was value. I started fidgeting. So I attended the interview. I knew I wasn't at my best. The gentleman that interviewed me is a person by the name of Dr. Suleiman. We call him the grandfather of Accenture. Dr. interviewed me. I knew I wasn't at my best. When we finished the interview, in my head, I knew I hadn't done well. So I got up, I walked out, I got to the door, and something just told me, don't go. Turn back and challenge him. Now, Dr. had a particular interview technique. I didn't realize it was an interview technique at the time. You're talking to him, he keeps a deadpan face. He doesn't say anything. He's not smiling, but he's not frowning either. He's just staring at you. The problem with it is that when you finish talking, he doesn't say anything. So what do? You start talking again. So after a while, you begin to undo yourself. Because you say it, then you repeat something. He keeps his face expressionless. It's actually an interview technique, but I didn't realize it at the time. Later on, I mastered it, which I used it a bit. So I turned back, and I went back, and I said, sorry, sir. I know I didn't do well in that interview. That wasn't my best. I was very nervous, but all I can tell you is that if you hire me into your institution, you would have done a major business decision that would move your organization forward. And Dotun lifted his head up. I still remember very clearly. Even I told him at his birthday, and he remembered, funny enough. Dotun lifted his head up and looked at me and said, young man, you are a diamond in the rough. And I remember that statement. Young man, you are a diamond in the rough. I left. Cut long story short, I was given employment. I joined. They gave me my salary. My dad is dead. Daddy, please forgive me for what I did then. They gave me my offer letter. When I saw the figure they wrote on the thing as my salary, I had to Tipex the 3 in front of the 36,000 naira per annum. I changed the 3 to 1. So it became 19,000 per annum. And I took the letter of employment home and I said, Daddy, see, they've given me employment. My dad looked at it, 19,000 for a young man like you? They want to kill you? This is going to destroy you. This is too much money. In my head, I was thinking, if only he knew that it was actually 30. But guess what? That's how I joined. Now, why is the story? All that part wasn't the story. 2 weeks later, Rosalind called me into our office. Hussein, do you have a passport to travel with? I said, yes, I'm always walking around with my passport. Hey, give me your passport. So I brought 2 passport photographs out. Say, this is my passport. She looked at it and said, yes, this is good. Where's your international passport? I said, international passport. Kilo Njebe. Said, you need international passport to travel. I said, yes, it is true. It is true. Of course, it wasn't true. I didn't know anything. He said, okay, you don't have an international passport? I said, no. He said, okay. He called one of the guys in the office. They carried me to secretariat. That day, took pictures, did everything. Within a week, my passport was out. 2 weeks later, I had landed in St. Charles. The picture you see here is a place called the Q Center. It used to be called St. Charles. It's 1 hour outside of Illinois. It's a quiet town. Less than 100,000 people live in it. Accenture had a training center in there. Every person hired in Accenture, everywhere in the world, once they hire you, you converge at the Q Center from all over the world. And the rule is simple. 5% of you must be fired. 5% of you must be fired. It wasn't a case of you are bad. It was a case of we must trim the tail. So you brought the best in the world and you gathered them in a center and you are going to keep them there for 6 weeks. At the end of 6 weeks, 5% must go. Yeah, I was. The only computer I saw was the University of Ilorin, was a word processor. I wasn't even allowed to touch it. And I was being told that in 6 weeks, I had to write a program in COBOL that must compile and deliver the business result or else you're fired. I couldn't spell COBOL. Ordinarily, you had a choice. You can either lie down and die because you are dead already, or you can get up and say, I'm dead already, so why don't I fight? When I thought back and I remember that I have 7 sisters, I'm 5 years older than the one following me. All of these guys depend on me. I have a mother, I have a stepmom, my dad was alive. How do I go back and tell them they took me to America to disgrace me? Who can make it do? It's not possible. We die here. That is the attitude I wanted to have. That is resilience. It didn't come when I arrived in St. Charles. It came from all those stories I told you, the adversity, Maiduguri, Kayode Street, Ilaje, playing football with people that you knew were incredibly skillful, but you wanted to win the set. That is where the resilience grew. It was the adversity that you said you didn't want that grew, that would grow the adversity, that would grow the resilience, that would solve the problem for you. Cut a long story short, 6 weeks later, my program was among the first COBOL programs to compile. But that is what started my journey to where you see me standing here today. I have built systems. Some of you can Google the name NIPEX, Nigerian Petroleum Exchange. This is a solution we built to ensure that we can procure within the Nigerian oil and gas space. Before all the IOCs were the one procuring. I built NIPEX from a blank sheet of paper. Blank white paper. I wrote out the concept, drew the thing out, corrected with body. We carried it to the then president, through engineer Funsho Bolukun, to President Obasanjo. When he looked at it, he said, "Body, can this thing work?" He said, "Usain, explain it." I was there shaking. I think so, sir. Are you sure? Okay, I back you guys up. That was OBJ for you. We built NIPEX from a blank sheet of paper. Today, NIPEX is still running. It's never gone down once. How many of you know that the Federal Ministry of Transportation is the first ministry in Nigeria to run totally paperless? A ministry in civil service. Federal Ministry of Transportation runs totally paperless. It's totally digital. It's powered by a lady by the name of Dr. Magdalena Jalin, who were in the same class in Federal Government College, Maiduguri. When I told her I'd left Dangote, she called me and said, "Listen, I want to do something totally different before I leave the ministry." We conceptualized Faltra, built the solution, trained the people, got it up and running in less than how many months? She won an award just 2-3 weeks ago. That was a project that I delivered. Adversity creates opportunities for you. Charles said I should tell you my story. I have told you my story. Next slide, please. Next slide, Oga. You don't sleep. You're enjoying the gist. All I'm trying to tell you is that the little things you do work like compound interest. It is not the daily, it's not the big action. It is the small actions. Do you know that if you grow yourself, improve yourself, just 1% daily, 1%, but that's if you are doing something today and you add one extra thing to do. If you are doing 3 things, you just add one small thing to do. If you are improving yourself by 1% daily, at the end of the year, you will be 36 times or 37 times better than you were at the beginning of the year. Just 1%. That's how powerful compound interest is. Many of you have calculated compound interest, but you don't know how powerful that tool is. I don't have time, or I've taught you how it works in finance. It's the same thing. Just every day, something that you are good at, that you're already doing very well. Just look for a small way to improve that same thing that you're already doing well. Just improve it small. Try to it, but do it every day. Practice every day. By the end of that year, you'll be at least 36 times better than you were. Now, imagine if you do that for 10 years. That is what turns a Bariga boy to someone who stands down, stands up in front of you, and is advising CEOs of corporates all over the world. That is how it happens. It is not the big action. It is the tiny, consistent, everyday action. But you know the converse of it? When you stand still and you do nothing, you are actually deteriorating. But you are deteriorating so slowly that you think nothing is happening. You are like the frog that is being boiled in hot water. Until it cooks, it still thinks the water is comfortable. Next slide. Oh boy, my Shelly finally. That's what's going to happen. Move to next slide now. Now, what are the characters of success? The first thing is faith and boldness. Did you recognize faith and boldness in what I spoke to you about? It's the faith that no matter how tough or difficult things are, all things work for the good of those who love the Lord. Just stay with it. It will come out fine. I don't know how, but it will come out fine. That boldness is what makes you move, even when the road is not clear. The second one is an intrinsic motivation. Knowing in yourself that I want to do this thing. There's value in this thing. You don't wait for somebody to motivate you. Blessing was speaking about herself, and she was standing up here, and she was already professing and talking about herself. Many of you would think she's being boastful. Hey, yeah. You just don't understand it. She wasn't being boastful. That is not being boastful. Boastful is when you are an empty barrel. She was just stating facts. I'm a value creator, and you thought she's being boastful. She's not boastful. The fact is she's a value creator. You don't have to be modest about what you already are. Intrinsic motivation. The next thing is relationship real estate. Do you remember where I said at the beginning that adversity helps you build connections? Your relationship real estate is what would open doors for you. You cannot do this journey alone. That it will be possible. There will be periods when you are going to kneel down and open your mouth. Prayers won't come. You need grit. You need resilience. You need persistence. When it seems like nothing is working, keep going. Because you know success is guaranteed. You just don't know how. But you know that success is guaranteed. Why am I being told to speak to you? Because many of you want to go on an entrepreneurial journey. Guys, it ain't easy. But I can tell you that it is very fruitful. Next slide. Next slide. How does it work in entrepreneurship? I won't spend time on this because I know time is fast spent. Also, thank you very much for being so indulgent. I know I've exceeded my time, but you guys are so patient with me. Why? Simple. In all of the attributes of a successful entrepreneur, see right in the center of it is perseverance. I don't have time to drain all of this, but the gentleman asked for the slides. You can take the slides after. Okay? This thing is gotten from a book called the Harvard Business Review of Entrepreneurial Skills. I forgot to carry the book. I was going to dash it to one person here, but I didn't even carry the book. But right in the center of it is perseverance. That is how everything I've been talking to you today is absolutely relevant to the journey you're about to go. You want to get ignited, you want to create value, you want to build businesses, perseverance will be key. And that is resilience. Before you can persevere, you need resilience. But resilience comes from knowing, convincing yourself in your head that I may not know how it's going to work yet, but I know it will work. I may not know the answer yet, but I know I will find the answer. That's how people are persistent. Do you see people stand up and they speak confidently? They are not confident. They are inside, they are filled with trepidation. But they know that if they keep working at it, they do their 1%. 1% daily. If it doesn't happen in year one, it will happen in year two. Eventually, it will crack. Next slide. Now, let me wrap it up, and we're done. Remember compound interest. I want you to start compounding your productivity. Promise me that once you leave this room, you're going to constantly try to compound your productivity. If you are doing 2 things per day, try doing 3. If you're doing 3, move it to doing 4. If you are calling 1 customer a week, move it to calling 2 customers a week. If you are visiting 4 clients a day, move it to 5 clients a day. Keep compounding your productivity. The result won't happen overnight, it will happen over time. Compound interest works. If you compound your productivity, you will grow. Also keep compounding your knowledge. The young lady came up here and was asking Blessing, if I get so seedlings, will it grow? How would Blessing know? Is she an oracle? She hasn't finished knowing her own. You want her to know your own for you. You have to get up and go find it. You've got to find knowledge. You've got to be thirsty for it. You've got to search for it. Even if she told you anything now, she might be wrong. Because whatever she says to you now is obsolete the moment she says it to you. It has moved on. You must be thirsty for knowledge. It is not learning that is the skill. It's knowing how to learn that is the skill. Because everything you learned is obsolete the instant you've learned it. Compound your knowledge, then compound your relationships. Compound your relationship. Many of you might need to go 50,000 naira or 100 million naira. After that, once you can manage to buy one second-hand RAV4 or Lexus, I can afford to me. Meanwhile, your mates are using Ferrari and Mercedes-Benz for taxi. Eh? Keep your shoulder down. You haven't arrived yet. 100 million naira is not enough for 2 weekends of partying in Lagos. Eh? Relationship is where your power really is. Grow your relationship. And I've seen that the most successful entrepreneurs are the friendliest. They won't give you money. Entrepreneurs don't give you money. But they are willing to share their idea liberally. They are willing to mentor you. They are willing to assist you. But they will block your number. But the good thing is that, or the bad thing about it is that negative behaviors also compound the way that positive behaviors do. If you allow stress gets to you and you constantly meditate on stress, it will compound. Eventually, it will destroy your health. If you keep dwelling on negative thoughts, it won't work, it can't work, they don't like me, it was this, it was that. It will compound and it will destroy it. And if you dwell on anger for too long, anger will compound and it will destroy relationships. Focus on growth. Focus on life. Compound those on a daily basis. It might not happen in year 1, it might not happen in year 2, it may take 6 years like Blessing's case, some it may take 10 years. In my own case, it took 22 years. Next slide. I think the next slide should be the video. Can you play the video for us? So these are some quotes. Move away from this slide. We don't have time. Next slide, next slide. Can you play the video for me? Charles, this video is specifically for you. And I will talk about it at the end. Can you play it?
Whenever you play Call of Duty, right, there's a point where your character, where he goes, cover me, I'm reloading. Cover me, I'm reloading. And I'm telling you, like, it sounds crazy, but that's something that God's put on my heart a lot. Cover me, I'm reloading. And for those of you guys don't play, what it simply means is I'm not dead. I'm not even down. But right now I did run out of ammo. I ran out of bullets. And we have a real enemy coming. We have a real enemy coming. If you don't cover me while I'm reloading, I may die. I may not make it. No, the journey continues, but I probably won't be able to be there if you don't cover me. And so if you're telling someone to cover you in the game, it's probably because they do have ammo. They haven't run out of their rounds yet. And it's so dope. But God really began to speak to me. He began to really show me how in this walk, y'all, we're going to need people that know how to cover us when we're reloading. Can we make it make sense? I'm navigating through a breakup and I'm in a lot of pain. Cover me. I'm reloading. Money's very low. I can't seem to make ends meet. Cover me. I'm reloading. I am mourning loss. Family, friends, jobs, you name it, cover me. I am reloading. we need people in our lives that are going to be able to do life with us in a way where if we say, cover me, they know exactly what to do. See, whenever I'm down, whenever I'm low, whenever I just need a little help, I'm talking about in the spirit. I need my warriors, I need my soldiers to be praying. They get a simple text, cover me. I need y'all to cover me. And if you really want to get good, give them a target. Don't just leave everybody out there, oh, pray for me. No, tell them what you need prayer for. Cover me. Sometimes you don't have the words, and so like I said, cover me will do. But I'm telling y'all, it's very special when you got people in your life that understand that life isn't always going to be pretty. And we have a real enemy, and that's the thing. It's not just about life; it's about the fact that we have an enemy, and he's coming after this right here, our mind. And sometimes when life gets so crazy, things start to shake you up, and you're just a little unsettled. Your judgment is not always clear, so you need somebody to cover you, because you're reloading. Reloading can look like you need to go before God. Reloading looks like you just need a break, and you need to reset here for a moment. Reloading looks like, hey, I need to take a walk. Reloading looks like, hey, I need to take some time away from this or that. So I'm encouraging you guys, don't be afraid to ask for help. A lot of people struggle with asking for help. And so if you struggle to ask for help, teach your squad your key words. Let them know, cover me. I'm reloading. Let them know what that means. It makes it a little easier if you struggle with saying, hey, I need help right now. I'm telling you, this stuff is real. And I'm encouraging everybody to be praying for your friends. Pray for your people. Pray for your family members. And pray for yourself.
Said, yeah, if I asked you that you are being arrested right now and you are being taken to jail, your very life is in danger, who are the 2-3 people that you know will drop everything they're doing, sell their house, sell their property to come get you out? Start building your network. I want to speak to Charles, and Charles, I'm going to use this opportunity. I've never said this publicly, to say thank you. I mentioned to you that I have 7 sisters. I brought them up like my daughter. I have 22 other children that I adopted from my village. And these are kids that I adopted from when they were in primary school. I knew they had no hope at all of going to university. So I made it clear to them that if you can pass JAM that I will pay for, I would pay for your university education, and I'll pay you a salary while you're in university. Now, it's amazing that of those students, okay, before I left Dangote, three of them became my colleagues in Dangote. 3 of them were working in Dangote refinery. They became colleagues of mine. These are kids that I picked up before I left. I was working in Accenture when I started that. But I also have my sisters, 7 of them. 7 years ago, I lost one of them. She was having a child, and she died at childbirth. As far as I was concerned, it was watching my sister pass on, and I'm touching her body, and I feel the heat draining out of her, and I knew I could do nothing. I was willing to pay anything. I was willing to sacrifice anything. I was willing to give up everything I had just to let her just breathe for another 1 hour only. I couldn't do anything. My spirit was still in my body. And I've never said this to Charles. The thing that took me through that burial was because Charles stood by my side and he held my hand. That was all. That's all I needed. He held my hand by the graveside, physically feel strength moving out of Charles' body into mine and holding me up. To need people that are willing to do life with you in a manner that when you run out of ammunition, they would cover you. If you don't have that, you can't do it alone. So start cultivating those relationships. Charles and I are not related by blood, but many people always see me and him and they say we look alike. Now, we've done some terrible things together, though. Uh, let me tell you one of them. He's going to kill me when I leave here. And it's being recorded. Charles and I play football. And he's a striker. I mean, he's a defender, I'm a striker. But sometimes, because we are very naughty, the fact that you are playing on my side, I'm still loyal to him, even though I'm playing against him. So there was this particular day we were playing a match. And there was this guy, I can call his name, Don Pedro Baseki. Pedro was running all over this place. He was my striking partner. We were playing against Charles. Charles has speed. Well, he had speed. He's an old man now. And I dwell on speed. I'll beat him. Don Pedro will go. After a while, Charles just called me. Ipaikwe, change wingo. I said, Ipaikwe, change wing. Young Namu Fanamingbo. Me and Don Pedro, we are on the same side. Though. He was saying, so I just beckoned, Don Pedro, come and strike. So I moved out. I moved out to the left wing. I went and relaxed there. If I had no ball, I put it for Don Pedro. Half. 50-50. One of those ones that if I pay this guy, he kicked Don Pedro, he moved up to almost his height. The guy landed on the floor. I just went and chopped up. If I pay Bordeaux 5. The guy got to say, hey, you plant me, Abi. You plant me. But naughty things that we've done as brothers. So thank you so much. I've enjoyed doing Journey with you. A call to action. In your journey through life, you will stumble. Okay? It's guaranteed you will stumble. Okay? You will appear to have failed people. It would appear like you have failed. You haven't failed. You are on a journey. Okay? You haven't failed until you refuse to get up. Appearance of failure is not failure. Okay? A failure is the person who falls down and doesn't get up. So long as you are getting up, you haven't failed. So, Akwa Ibom, arise. Okay, we are winning this battle. We have already won it. Next slide, sir. Push the button one more. So my name is Usen Udo. That is my LinkedIn profile. I don't think it's showing properly. Oh, it's showing up there. On LinkedIn, for those of you who are on LinkedIn, but I'm sure all of you will go and activate your LinkedIn now. Please, quickly, go and activate your LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile is Usen Udo. My Instagram is also Usen Udo. Go back to that other slide there. My Instagram is Usen Udo. My Facebook is Usen Ekong Udo. So connect. I'm a people developer. I believe in growing people, and I've really enjoyed my time with you. Thank you so very much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, for Usen Ekong Udo, can we put our hands together? Thank you so much. Thank you so much indeed. We'll take some 2, 3, 4 quick questions for him. If you have questions, if you're here, you just want to come towards the stage. If you're here, you come towards the stage on this side. And if you have questions on this other side, you just come towards the stage. Quickly, run towards the stage. Thank you so much. I'm not sure I want to take more than 5. So first 2 year, and first 1 year. We're good. Okay, so you keep the questions to 1 minute, say your name, and go straight to the question. Courage. I'm very sure nobody's going to ask the other bad things. You want to start? Okay, I'm told the camera will be there, so you just want to come all the way around towards here. In the meantime, controls, please kindly put on cue slides for Barrister Morgan Ekanem.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Sarafina Sampson. I'm highly ignited. I'm happy to be here. Please, my first question is this. Does this program have a mentor section where, like, people like Blessing have mentored, you follow them up? People that you've ignited, you follow them up to make sure they illuminate that light and pass it on? Or do we just gather like this every year and we leave it there and come back next year again to be reignited and unignited? Secondly, sir, from what you and Blessing said, I come to understand that mentorship is very important. Most of us, we don't have. Both of you, you happen to have had a good foundation. Madam Blessing, the father is there, and you talk about your father being your support as well. Some people don't have this. and they're ignited but without that backbone. Please, how can this ignited family help those that are willing to be ignited to keep igniting the other generations? Thank you.
Next person, keep it brief, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Savior Hussein. My question goes this way about the adversity. We know this is one of the things that have kept a lot of people down. So, sir, please, is there any model that we can look onto whenever that we face adversity and through that can bounce us back?
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thomas. My question is a request. And I want to ask, please, Sir Hussein, will you be my mentor? I have a business.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for them, please. Why are we laughing? The Bible says, ask. Okay, since all of you are laughing, Ogalsen, I know I've asked you before, I'm going to ask again. Add me to the list. Let us be two. Let the rest of them continue laughing. Okay, we have a question here. Without changing your brand name, changing location, is it really possible to bounce back? This person must be a medical doctor because this handwriting here. Okay. With the heart of customers, loyalists, and trustees, after a value of negative, classical appointment. Akwa. Do you want to come and ask this question because I'm not very sure?
All right, let me start with the difficult handwriting. The question is actually quite clear. His question is, without changing your brand name and changing your location, is it possible to bounce back is it possible to bounce back where the heart of customers, loyalists, and trustees, with the heart of loyalists and trustees, after a value of negative disappointment? I guess what it means is that if you've disappointed your customers consistently without rebranding, is it possible to bounce back? Okay, if that is the question, the simple answer is yes, it is possible. Okay, there's something called recovery in customer service. It's called recovery. Recovery is actually a very powerful tool. Let me show you how powerful recovery is. Some clients deliberately cause customer failures so that they can recover. Deliberately. They trick the customers to think there's been a service failure just so they can recover. Because when you recover, you actually get customer loyalties much higher. But recovering means you have to give something. So in answer to your question, the first thing you want to establish are what are the customer complaints and what were the disappointments. If you establish what those are, determine how you're going to fix them. But in fixing them, show how you are going to give additional value at no price. That's how to recover. So if you can do that, okay, this is not a lesson on customer service, but if you can do that, recovery actually helps you build your brand and it makes you recover stronger. It's a very simple classical theory in customer service. So yes, it is possible to recover without changing brand and location. And to put the icing on the cake, that no matter where you move it to, if you are bad in customer service and you change location and go to a new place, you'll still be bad there. So where are you recovering? Where are you running to now? Now, let me answer the questions that were asked. Said, will you be my mentor? Because everybody laughed, I will be your mentor. Okay? But let me explain to you though. Mentoring is a relationship. The fact that I mentor you doesn't mean that you'll be successful. A mentor guides you, gives you direction. But if you don't do those things that the mentor asks you to do, you will frustrate yourself and you will frustrate the mentor. So being your mentor is not the issue. It's are you willing to work? One thing I can tell you very clearly, all the people that are my mentees don't like me very much. because I'm very firm on them. I treat them like I treat my children. So you will not like me very much. But secondly, I also think that depending on what you need mentorship for, I may not be the right person. So what I would do for you is that I will make my relationship real estate available to you. So if you ask me something that I can't do or that is best done by someone of your gender, I will link you with my network and I will make sure they do it. Okay? So because you asked, I will do that. Typically, I don't accept those requests because 9 times out of 10, they won't do what you ask them to do. You'll just waste your time. But because there's no model that you plug the input into and then you get an output. It doesn't work that way. I have taken you through, I have shown you several steps and actions you can take to recover from adversity. Go back and look at my slides, remember my words, practice them, I assure you, you will recover. And it doesn't matter the nature of the adversity. Some of them are personal, some of them are business. The principles are the same. And then the last question. Sarafina said, is there a mentoring program and a mentorship, and that mentorship is critical? I would ask Prof and the organizers, please take that as a feedback. The Ignite audience wants a mentorship program attached to it. They think it will be valuable to them. So let's think through how to make that model work. And reach out. There are a lot of powerful people I see seated here who can give maybe 5–10% of their time to mentor these young ones. If you build the structure, the people will come. Thank you for being so patient. God bless you. Have a wonderful session.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's make that applause bigger and better for Usen Ekong Udo. Can we put our hands together for him? Thank you so much. Thank you so much indeed. If you're just joining us, it's Ibom Ignite Conference 2023, the Stretch Edition, My Story, My Business. It's been an exciting run from the opening yesterday up until today, and we still look forward to running at breakneck speed till we get to the finish line later this afternoon. We thank all our resource persons who have graciously shared without holding back, and we're indeed assured that the resource persons who are yet to come will keep the fire burning and ensure that the standards are not lowered. Ladies and gentlemen, to bring up the next speaker, please put your hands together and welcome my partner on the microphone. Oh, you're going to do that backstage? Beautiful. I'll just let Emma Akwa do the honors of introducing our next speaker.
Morgan Ekanem holds a master's degree in law with a bias in public finance. In 2019, he obtained a certificate in strategic communication from the International School of Communication, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, and certificate on leadership dynamics from the International Leadership Institute, South Africa. He is presently studying for a PhD in law with the Rivers State University, Nigeria. He is the convener of the Joseph Society, Nigeria, a famous youth group with interests in the intellectual and mental development of youths in Nigeria and globally, as well as the chancellor of the More Leadership Academy, a fast-rising leadership institute in Nigeria with the vision of ending the leadership drought in Nigeria and Africa at large. The academy focuses on equipping young minds with the needed information to first lead themselves effectively and eventually provide quality leadership in their communities. So far, the academy, which was started in January 2020, has trained not less than 300 young leaders within and outside Akwa Ibom State. He is a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants and member, Nigerian Bar Association. Mr. Ekanem has been directly involved in public service in the last 4 years. In 2020, he was appointed to serve the government of Akwa Ibom State as the personal assistant to the governor, His Excellency, Mr. Udom Emmanuel, on public affairs. He is the National Assistant Secretary of the Maintain Peace Movement and also served as the Assistant Secretary of the PDP Umo Eno 2023 campaign organization in Akwa Ibom State. In June 2023, Mr. Kanem was appointed by His Excellency, Pastor Umo Eno, as the Special Assistant on Public Affairs, and was later, within 7 days, to serve as the Senior Special Assistant to His Excellency on Special Duties, an elevation which many has described as the recognition of diligence and commitment to assigned task. His outstanding message is a call to every young person to become, be more, and shine their light on their generation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to please welcome on stage Barrister Morgan Ekanem.
Thank you. What did you say? Are you ignited? A master, we should do it 2 times. Are you ignited? All right, thank you. I'd love to thank the planning committee for this opportunity for me to also stand here. I have 40 minutes and I'll keep to the time. But the first thing I want to say is that it's just a caveat that what I want to say to you is not the gospel. That is to say that what I'll say to you are personal story, because I've come here to share my story so that you can learn from it. I had to say that because sometimes people drop nuggets as though they have universal applicability. Mine may not have. That is to say that what worked for me may not work for you. But I trust that if you listen carefully, you'll find a part of my story that will be useful to you. Now, the second thing I love to drop as an opening thought is that when I was invited to speak with Usene Kongudo, Babs, Mrs. Sekaite Omo, and all the great resource persons, I remember the story of a church that had their national conference. And they set up a planning committee, and they had the elders, the bishops, the deacons as members of the planning committee. And then they added a certain Mr. Friday. Mr. Friday was a Mason man who came to church just once, maybe in Fremont. And he always sat at the back. Mr. Friday had 2 women living in his house. Not exactly married, but he had children, and everybody knew Mr. Friday. He didn't hide his women. He wasn't exactly trying to be righteous as per the standard of the church. But he was included in the planning committee of the church convention that was titled Righteousness for Prosperity on Earth. So now when Mr. Friday went to the meeting the first day, he saw all the great people, the bishops, the elders, the deacons, and he felt quite lost because what exactly is he doing here? Well, long story cut short, he had self-revelation right there. So Mr. Friday realized that just maybe he was brought in to be a part of the planning committee so he can answer questions on what sinners want to hear. So that when they are planning the list of guest speakers and all the activities for the convention, they could always ask Mr. Friday, if you heard this, will you give your life to Christ? If you heard this, will you at least maybe shed yourself off one woman if that's possible? I don't know. But that's exactly how I felt. Like Mr. Friday, with people who've done business for 32 years. And you heard mine just started 3 years ago. But here again, I'm encouraged that perhaps if you could not listen to the voice of elderly Usene Kong, you would listen to the voice of young Morgan. And perhaps be encouraged that if I can stand, then you too can stand. Because, you know, sometimes, quite frankly, speaking for my generation, those who are ahead of us, they sound a little above us. But sometimes the real advice you want to hear is the jab from your fellow brother who tells you, bros, if you don't make money, you go explain tire, no evidence. I trust you can relate. So I'm hoping that as you listen to me, you'll have reasons to perhaps believe that these things can happen. So I've been asked to speak on finding your passion and pursuing your dreams with purpose. All right, it's there. And I have 40 minutes. Expectations, as per my letter, said I'm to share my business story and growth experience with you. So I begin. Slide 1, if you don't mind. I won't be like our father and leader. So you'll be my friend, but you'll move at my pace. So I just thought I should share with you what came to my mind when I saw the theme stretch as I go into my business. So to stretch for me, immediately I saw stretch. I remembered an athlete who runs on the lane, 100 meters, senior boys like the Usain Bolt. And as he gets to the finishing line, everybody is almost on the same line with him. And what does he do? He jumps. For those of you who have ever watched real serious competitions. So what you realize is that because the rule is that whoever's head passes the line first is the winner, some of them, immediately they get close enough to the line, they just jump. Some would push themselves forward. But those who are desperate, because desperate people do desperate things, they just go ahead and jump. And that is what it means to stretch. To stretch is to do it unconventionally. To stretch is to break the rules. To stretch is to do it anyhow. Legally anyhow, anyway. So the second thing that came to mind as I thought of stretch was the story of that fabulous man that we don't talk so much about that was named Zacchaeus in the Bible. The Bible says that Zacchaeus was short and he really couldn't see the Lord because a lot of people were around him and he needed to be seen. So the young man runs ahead and climbs a tree. And I often like to tell people what that tree means, business people and young people. When you listen to the story, don't hear of a physical tree. Begin to hear that Zacchaeus had no money, a limitation. He was short. Begin to hear that Zacchaeus had no connection. His father wasn't rich. Begin to hear that Zacchaeus had no location to start his business because he couldn't pay for a shop. Begin to hear perhaps that Zacchaeus had no rich connectivity or relationship bank. So what did he do? He ran up and climbed up a tree. And that is what it means to stretch. To run up and climb the shoulders of Mrs. Ekaite Omo, for instance. To run up and climb the shoulders of Pastor Imo Basi Jacob. To carry your goods on your head like a certain calling Oscar used to carry in this town around the streets of Uyo. To find somebody and beg and ask the person, please, can I put my goods in front of your shop? That is what it means to stretch. Because a lot of the reasons we've not started our business, this is because we cannot yet rent our spaces and we don't want to share with anybody. Perhaps your attitude won't even allow you to share because you are cleaner in your thoughts than the person you want to share with. So you're beginning to imagine, how am I going to go and talk to this girl who is, perhaps you finished university before her? Well, I hope you know that after university, now get money be senior. You know, right? That issue of who was born first ends the day you have admissions. And when you finish university, who had admissions first doesn't also matter. The real senior is who has money. So you need to know, as a matter of fact, that to stretch would mean to be humble, to beg if it means to beg. I hope you're following me. Now, what does it mean to stretch moving forward? I just said 2 more and I run as I share my story. You know, to stretch would also mean to do more than your environment, your society, your economy would allow you to do per time. To stretch would mean to be meant to exhaust a little more energy, mentally perhaps, than everybody around. So when we say think out of the box, it is to stretch. Now, what does it exactly even mean to think out of the box? If they say it doesn't happen here. That is, you stretch and make it happen. Stretching for business people would include issues like packaging. A lot of people talk about crayfish, like Mrs. Sekai told me yesterday. To stretch for crayfish is to package. Because a lot of us are selling crayfish now. I don't know, maybe she doesn't know about it. Akwa Ibom people now export crayfish to everywhere in the world. But it still goes in that long white nylon. And that's the problem. The person who will eventually ensure that it is properly packaged is going to be the one to lead his community because he or she has stretched. A little more thinking. A little more looking around your environment and seeing that this is how everybody else is doing it, and I can do a little differently. That is what it means to stretch. And I perhaps just read the last one. So do more than you would naturally do, averagely do, giving regards to your environment, social, financial circumstances, or even your sex. I had to add the sex because I think Section 42 of the Constitution has warned us that nobody should be discriminated on grounds of sex. So to stretch would mean that you become a wacky who is a lady but doing POP. Because it's not, do you know that the mere fact that you're a lady and choosing the men's work would give you more clientele? Is somebody hearing me? I think I'm sounding like a pastor. All right, let's move. Thank you. Let's move. Let's move. Now, what will make you stretch? You are just about to hear my story now. What will make you stretch? Number one, a mindset. And I shared a story there of Ne Plus Ultra and Plus Ultra. A lot of us may have heard about it. That some time ago, Spain used to think that they were the end of the world. It felt like everything started and ended with them. So they had the motto just written there at the Straits of Gibraltar, and it was written Ne Plus Ultra, which meant beyond here, nothing more. But a certain man came, Christopher Columbus, and he started, I'm sure you've heard that name before. You hear them say he discovered America. Perhaps you don't know the background to the story. So he started just traveling around, ferrying around the place and all of that, and eventually discovered, of course, that there was land after this large body of water. And that was how the narratives towards discovering America started. And when he returned to King Charles at the time, he said, "Sir, oh, long live the king. I have found life. I have found land after Spain." And that was how they changed the motto of Spain from Ne Plus Ultra to Plus Ultra, which now means there is more. There is more. Before they thought there was nothing beyond them, but by revelation and knowledge, they now accept that there is more after them. The first thing that would help you stretch is that you need to tell yourself as you are seated that there is more to life than you are living it. There is more money than 100 million naira, like he said. There is even more to life than a lot of money. Sometimes we need to appreciate that there is a huge distinction between success and significance. Who is eating your money? So it begins with a mindset, because if you do not have the mindset to even know that there is more, you won't be stretching. Because to stretch is a resulting action from a realization that there should be more. What sponsors it? To vision goals. If you want to succeed, perhaps 1 billion is enough. But if you want to be significant, 1 billion is the starting point. Capital luxury would understand what I'm talking about. Now, what do I mean by success? Success is to bear fruit and stay there for yourself and your family. But significance is when the world starts eating your fruit. And the real thing is that we were created not to succeed. We were created to be significant. That's why the Bible would say you are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. Do you know that light doesn't shine for itself? Light does not need light. You need light. So the real essence of your life is that somebody else is supposed to benefit from your existence. So if you just own a business that pays your fees and feeds your family, you're succeeding, you're not significant. And it is a call for you to stretch beyond that level towards significance. That's what will make you want to have multiple streams of income. That is why you will not be satisfied by selling Zobo alone. That's That's why you'll not be satisfied by supplying to your own family alone. That is why you would start going on night buses and not laugh at those who want to Senekong as mentors. The next thing that sponsors stretching is frustration. Frustration sponsored restlessness. But it is not really the frustration that matters, as he said. What matters is your response to the frustrating circumstances. Some people are beaten down by frustration, but some people shake it off and they stand. Whoever eventually overcomes frustration through stretching leads his world. Of course, your level of exposure matters and your relationships matters. So you said a lot of things I would have wanted to say, so I'll just be running. Your relationships matters. You see, when I was in the university, I'll soon tell my story, but when I was in the university, I had a group of my friends. We were just 5. I was the only guy, the 4 were girls. Don't judge me. By the way, I came up without handkerchief. Please, somebody should help me. Start. Andy, you're my man. Find it. So I had a group of, we were 5, 4 were girls. I was the only guy. We were reading. We were serious students. But then I later realized that I was the best amongst them. And whereas it was a good thing for me, but in life, being the best amongst your circle is not a good thing. Because you would have become the lead over the team, and over time, there will be nothing to inspire you to learn some more. Because every time everybody defers to you, every time they bow to you, because you always have the superior knowledge, the superior information, and all of that. I'm good. You always have everything superior. So now over time you realize that you don't even read more, you don't think more, you don't strive more, because at the level where you stand, you're already the leader. So nothing to stretch for. So you need to be sure that if you are a leader of a business community in Uyo, you see, you may be the best makeup product sales, like the one at Akwa Road. You may be the best peanut maker in Uyo. You may be the best cosmetics or cosmetologist in Uyo. You need to beat yourself up and start looking for a competitor in Lagos and South Africa. Because unless you do that, there is nothing to stretch for, because you're already the king. That's why they say the one-eyed man is a king in the city of the blind. But when he leaves to a king where people have 2 eyes, he becomes a leper. Do you understand me? I hope I'm not too serious. All right, let's move forward. Let's move forward. I think we're about to hear my story now. So for me, I'm going to cut this story really short. I was born very many years ago. Very many years ago. But by the time that Mr. Senekong and Mr. Charles were playing football, I was not born. No. But I was born very many years ago, and I am the 8th child in the family of 9. Don't judge my father either. My father married very young, and his first wife died. He was not up to 35 when his first wife died. And she died at childbirth when she was about bringing forth the 4th child. And normally, you can't tell a guy man to start staying single from then till he died at 76. It's wrong now. And so he married my mom. And my mom was, or still is, a fruitful vine. So she also came forth with all of us. Fruitful vine. So I am the 8th in a family of 9. I just have 1 boy following me. And out of all of us, my father took the pains to send all of us to school. There is none of us that is not a graduate. And he finished it before he died. But that's not the real story. The story is that out of all of us, 7 of us are teachers. Teachers. At different levels. My father retired as a school principal. My mother retired as headmistress. So hold on. Shares my story now, calm down. So I got into the university with a singular vision, talking about purpose, vision, and all of that. I said, normally I'm going to become a teacher, but that I want to finish as a vice chancellor. You know, I had this orientation already that you must do better than your father did. But then I didn't think so much out of the box. It was still in the box, but just a bigger box. So I said I was going to be a vice chancellor. So I have jumped my childhood stories into the university so that you know how we got to More Leadership Academy. So I got into the university and I heard, Mr. Tusi is here. I started at theater art, but I wanted to study law. So after first year in theater art, I wrote again. I had admissions to study, so I ran away. But even when I was in theater, I remember I left theater with a CGPA of 4.6. I left it there and just moved forward because I had to pursue something I wanted. So when I went there, I had heard that the University of Uyo, where I studied, would retain you if you were the best graduating student of your faculty. So I worked so hard. That was one of the reasons. The second reason I worked so hard is that I have a mother who is pro in blushing. So I always imagined my name being called out on my graduation day. My mother would walk out, and I would walk around, and she's seated somewhere like that, and I would look at her. She would smile and pretend. She would smile and pretend. And at some point, she would start crying. That's why when I am happy, I cry. So she would just start crying. So I always wanted to make my mother cry on that day. But then really, I wanted to be retained. So I worked so hard. I read. I can sound like Paul the Apostle on matters of reading. That I read more than everybody. But I didn't make the first class. Well, I was the best graduating student. So your story is like mine. I had a 4.46. And we were supposed to have a 4.5 to be first class. I didn't beg anybody. I just moved. Okay, so I didn't have a first class. I had a 2-1. They call it strong 2-1. But somebody told me the other time, which is one of the reasons I'm sharing the story. He said, Morgan, wait till you get. I said 2-1. He said, now 2-1 and follow get over at 3.7. I was pissed, but it's fine. It's truly fine. Anyway, so I went on for my service, served at Babcock University. I wanted to be retained. I worked so hard with Professor Isaac Abede. He was my boss. I worked so hard. Everybody loved me. And I went to him and said, please, sir, can you retain me? And he said, Morgan, last year, I moved a motion at the Senate of Babcock University that for junior staff, they should only employ alumnus or alumni of the university. That is for those coming in from graduate assistant and I think assistant lecturer, that level. He said, Morgan, I love you, but it's difficult for me, who moved the motion and pushed the policy, to be the first person to ask for it to be broken. I'm going to help you get into Adeleke University. He had a friend there. So the vice chancellor of Adeleke University came to his office and I was introduced. I think I was supposed to start working April or May or so at Adeleke University. It was literally concluded. But around that time, I think the proprietor of Adeleke, the Adeleke of the Adeleke University died. Either he died or the uncle, but somebody in the family, and for those of us who know that family, it's a really close-knit family. So because of that, they suspended recruitment. So I wasn't retained at Babcock. I wasn't taken at Adeleke. And I wrote to Professor Nefi that time, who was the vice chancellor of UNIU, and said, sir, I want to be. Well, long story cut short, I wasn't taken anywhere. And it looks like they changed the policy of retaining best graduating students because maybe there were a lot of teachers already. I mean, I didn't want to go into why they didn't retain me, but that was fine. But I knew that in me was an inherent passion to share knowledge. In me is an inherent passion to bring light. So I teach in every place, conventional or non-conventional. So when I returned to you from a very short stay in Lagos, I don't know the Mushin and all the places you've mentioned because I didn't walk around a lot. I started what I call the Joseph Society Nigeria. And what we used to do there is just to gather people every month and I'll bring people to share with them. I call it Bear Series. Where I bring people who have succeeded and just make them share stuff like what we're having here. And it still runs till today. But then I realized that, number one, a lot of people were not serious because it was always free. Number two, I could not exactly track the progress because this one will come today and will not come tomorrow. And I didn't have what to use to keep them in one place because, you see, when you just give knowledge and then you have not become, there is no reason for them to come. Do you know why they are angry with motivational speakers? It is not the motivation they are angry with. It is the person spitting the motivation. So when Usenekong tells you that grit and resilience will lead to success, you don't boo him. But when a man treks and says if you believe it, you would become it. And then you are driving out your car, you are driving out of the event in your car, and he flags you down by the road and says, please, can you give me a lift? And you remember that he just said, if you believe it, you become. You just tell him, sir, if you believe it, you also buy your car. So I hadn't become, but I was sharing narratives to people. I was doing a lot. I was still dispassionate. Now, why am I dispassionate? Basically, because I just love to share. I love to teach. There is nothing I know that I will not find who to teach. Somehow. That is why sometimes I even struggle to be quiet when I'm with friends. Because you know, if you also share too much, you become proud. Because why are you always, every time you're always, is it you alone? But I've seen what I should tell you quickly. But wisdom says, hold it, hold it, hold it. So now, that the Joseph Society stuff that I was running for free, a time came that I realized, see, Morgan, there is a need in the society. Because that time I would do this month entrepreneurship, next month leadership, next month family. I was just doing stuff like that. But as we kept doing it, I realized that there was this frequently asked question. There was this need. We all agreed that there was a problem with Nigeria, but the only places available to solve the problems were the Lagos business schools, and my boys can't afford to pay for them. So we started the More Leadership Academy. Please move on. I have 2 more slides. So we started the More Leadership Academy, which I can now say is my business. It is the business that has come from my passion. It is the business that has come from I have the Ikigai too in my slides. When I get there, I'll just jump. It is the business that has come from what I love to do. It has come from what the world needs. It has come from what I am good at. And what I just needed to add was to make them pay for it. So I do it because the world needs it. I do it because I'm good at it. I do it because it's what I love. But all of that was what I was doing with the Joseph Society Nigeria. And because you can be satisfied and broke. And you see, after a while, if all you do is to smile, you would smile and die. If all you do is to do things you love and nobody is paying you for it, you'll be embarrassed even with your passion. So Ikigai is a call to marry what you love and what the world needs and what you can do with what you'll be paid for, which is where we really are. So we started the More Leadership Academy. I love to teach. The world needs knowledge of leadership. I can teach it, and now you can pay for it. Do you know what? You don't need to give me 1 month notice to teach leadership. Most times, all I do is to appear, and you know that a leader has come, with office or no office. I just need to climb the stage, and you cut short your speech. Because after a while, you just know that Morgan doesn't move for nothing. That if he's moving, it is because they have told him to ask you to stop, or you have simply exceeded your time. Do you understand me? So our vision, our mission, principally, is to share the knowledge of leadership. But we're intentional. We're not exactly looking for the big people. The big people can go to Harvard. The big people can go to Lagos Business School. We are interested in you seated here. Those who cannot afford the 2 millions of this world to go to those big places. Because do you realize that those who eventually go to those big places, they just go there for vacation. They go there to build their CV. Those who need to learn leadership are those of you seated here. Learn before you become. So that when you become, you will not be, it is like placing the cart before the horse. When you now become president of Nigeria, and you're now doing leadership training in Harvard, when you have made mistakes for the first 2 years. Our idea is to give to the young people sufficient knowledge of leadership today, so that if they eventually become, they will be shining the light from what they have learned. It is the same reason why our tuition is still 25,000 naira till now. But then anybody who has been to the academy knows that what you get is in the minimum 150,000. I mean, even in hard way. Now, so that is, but what do we sell? We sell knowledge. I've already shared that. We sell a vision and a hope. The vision and the hope is principally that Nigeria can get better if we can start investing in the young leaders seated in front of us. Everybody says the problem with Nigeria is leadership, so who's going to solve it? So we say, let's start from home. So I'm now interested. Do you know that when I left the university, I said I'm not interested in school politics again? I'm interested now. Why am I interested? Students from universities come to More Leadership Academy. We teach them. And after we have taught them, they say they want to be president, University of Uyo Student Union. I say, go and contest. Why am I interested? I want them to stand out. And when they do well, they say they were at the More Leadership Academy. Do you know the truth? Harvard, MIT, Lagos Business School, they are not exactly so loud because of the content. I'm sorry to fight them. They are so loud because Dr. Emmanuel Ekuwem went there. They are loud because Barack Obama went there. So when they read their citation, they say they were Harvard trained. They say they were MIT trained this. So their social capital eventually fits the reputation of the academy. So I'm interested in you becoming. I'm interested in you succeeding, so that when you say they say, that guy did well. And he said, yes, he did well because he was trained at More Leadership Academy. So we sell a vision, we sell a hope, and then the last thing we sell is that we sell me. Me is me, me. Me. Please move the slide. So these are some pictures from the academy. Just a story. We started at the conference room, Food Affairs, Convener Road. It's the story of progress, right? So we used to pay 5,000 naira for 1 hour. Then eventually so we pay for 2 hours. That's where we started. Anybody that does events in New York will know this space. You don't know this space, you're not in town. Because almost everybody that is beginning begins there. As a matter of fact, if you want to do a business, a grant, you should go and recognize Food Affairs. Anybody that has hosted conferences in this town, from this town, must have started at Food Affairs. Because they are cheap. 5,000. Sometimes it was 3. We started there. But then it became a problem because you see, like those classes, we would take pictures like that and post on social media by 12 p.m. of Saturday. And by 4 p.m. of Saturday, another group would also take pictures from the same place and post. And then you now be confused which one is More Leadership Academy and which one is Agro Business in Agro. And that therefore meant that our branding was affected. Do you understand? Because as you want to build your business, branding would need to be considered. There are some pictures that immediately it is seen, they should say MLA. Immediately they see some pictures, they should say Ignite. You see, some of us think that what defines your picture is putting your name under the frame. So you say, Morgan shot it. No. There is a level of branding that you bring into your photos that immediately we see a photo done by you, we begin to say, I think it's Ikenna or Carrot or Idara that shot this. There's something about it. All of us, some of us, we have 10 photographers, and all of you are rushing to snap the governor while he's speaking. Some of us need to snap just 2 pictures of the governor, and you are made. That's why you see some photographers will lie down in one position for 30 minutes looking for an angle. It's branding. So all of you can't be selling Zobo, and you're just selling Zobo. Everybody's drinking Zobo. So we had to move. We kept moving. And this is the last space we used. So when we got to this space, we were able to pay up the space for a duration of 5 months. But then, it wasn't still giving us. So if you come to the space, at the reception, it's not More Leadership Academy. But when you get into the classroom, you will see More Leadership Academy everywhere. It was a step. But as we speak, we have now gotten our own space where from the gates we can put MLA everywhere. And that's the progress. Now, but I now told you that the last thing we sell is me. I say this and I conclude. Please move the slide. A lot of us, so what do I mean by the last thing we sell is me? I am very intentional about my personal life. Because I don't want to be a leadership teacher that is not leading. So I tell some of my students, I said, wait, you are in a hurry to organize conferences. Wait, you are in a hurry to establish your own leadership academy. I'm not fighting you. But there needs to be something working in you for you to be able to tell another person that this thing can work. Some of you don't even use the product you sell. Some of you, the clothes you want us to buy, you cannot wear. Some of you have come out in very beautiful gowns, but then when you want to do your own finishing, it's not as fine as the gowns you are wearing. Do you know the problem I have with tailors in Akwa Ibom? I sold my wedding suit. It was good. And I went back. I went back to the person to sew the next important suit I wanted to use. Now, why do I actually love sewing suits? Because when you buy this ready-made suit, sometimes the hand would not lap. I mean, Sir Charles would understand because he's the suits man. So sometimes the length of the suit will not just, the hand is okay in some, but the length would have been somewhere for those of us who are tall. You know, so there is always one thing you don't like about it. But if you get somebody that is good to sew it, he can give you the right length, he can give you the right length everywhere. But so you sew today and you sew tomorrow and it's different. So one day I had to ask, are you really the person that sews this thing? If it is you, why can't you repeat it? Because you see, at the end of the day, what would grow your brand is the consistency in excellence. It's not today you are good, tomorrow you are bad. You better close down and go and get good. Because by the time you have soiled your reputation too much, as he said, if you like relocate, we will not come. That's why I advise people, don't climb the stage yet. It is better to be at the backside of life. Because to be delayed in announcement is better than being announced and you frustrate your family members. Wait first and be sure that when you come up, you can deliver. Nobody may give you a second chance, but you can be delayed to have a good first chance. I don't know if I'm making sense to anybody. So now what do I mean by one of the things we sell is me? I think that as we grow up, a time would come that you can take me out of the academy. But for now, that we're still young and growing, one of the greatest testimonies that we use to sell the academy is Morgan Ekanem. So I work so hard to do well. I work so hard to become. I work so hard so that when you see the person behind More Leadership Academy, you would have faith in the academy. I read so hard, not because I want to pass exams. I read because I want to be able to talk to people and convince them that if you registered with the academy, there will be something to learn. I'm intentional about the places I go to. My Facebook profile is intentional. LinkedIn, everywhere. I'd rather not be on all social media platforms than be in all and not manage them intentionally. Because anywhere you see more Leadership Academy or Morgan Academy, there should be something about it to convince you to trust in our brand. So you see all of those pictures. Every time you see me sweat like I'm sweating now, some people can do it effortlessly. But even when it looks like I can talk, I still work so hard. I sit on my seat at that place and I pray. And I leave that seat and come to Pastor Imo and say, sir, please give me courage. And he touches my back. I mean this morning now. And he says, I give you everything. Go, you will do well. I know you. And I've been speaking for the past at least 10 years. And I am still looking for those encouragements. Because there will never be a day that I will embarrass my generation. Do you know why Joseph was celebrated? Have you imagined? I think I'll be done in 5 minutes. Have you imagined what would have happened if Joseph was taken before Pharaoh and Pharaoh said, we hear you interpret dreams. Can you now give us the interpretation? And Joseph says, sir, give me time. They would have imprisoned him in a deeper prison. But Joseph stood out because every time you called on Joseph, he had his gifts to show for it. So we work hard to promote this brand. So beloved, those listening to me, business people, are you working hard to promote your personal brand? In everything you do, every day you show up. Most of you, you do more cruise on your social media timeline than you post your products. You are dragging everybody. I'm sorry to use a bad example. Mohbad has died. You were not playing any of his songs when he was alive. But in the past 3 weeks, he's been the only thing on your timeline. And then you sell fufu. We have never seen it. I don't know if you heard me. But move forward, let me end. The next slide should be my last slide. So how did we get here? Some people say it's what you love. Some people say you look within. Some people say threads through your parent. Others say consider your skills and your gifts. Move it. Are you moving it? Where is it? The next slide will be the Ikigai slide. And then the Japanese came up with this philosophy which he had told you about. But these are the 3 things I said to you and I ended. The last one. My recommendations, as far as you want to find passion and you want to pursue your dreams with purpose and all of that, the first is that it will have to begin with God or it must have God at the center. I'm sorry if that's not what you wanted to hear. It must have to begin with God or it must have God at the center. If you are sitting down here and your business, there is no trace of the God factor inside it, in the days of depression, in the days of failure, in the days when nobody seems to believe in you, you will pack up. But then if there is something that inspires you from within, and this one I call it the God factor, something that tells you that this is service, not just to man, but also to God, there will be a problem. All of us were created, and the Bible says we were made for his pleasure. So what you are doing, does it please the Lord? Now, the second thing is that your purpose, the type that will fuel your passion and drive you, will not be about you. Genuine purpose can never be about you. Purpose is always about the next person. Purpose is always about your community. Purpose is always about your world. If you say you want to do purpose and it's about you, it is not purpose, it is hunger. You are hungry, you want to eat. So that is why you open that shop. Your purpose will be about people, it will be about community. The efficacy of your purpose, the grandeur of your purpose is now determined by the community you cover by the impact of your purpose. And number 3, as the last, it will have to be a solution. It will have to be a solution. Those of us who have done design thinking, those of you who have told you how you get to your ideas and all of that, you know that real purpose, the type that keeps you awake, is the solution to your world. It could be a transportation solution like Capital Luxury. Every other thing you do around, you find out that you literally get money from everywhere to feed one thing. So the governor of Akwa Ibom, the government pays me salary today. I am feeding my passion with it. So every little time I get, I'm reading, I'm teaching, but I'm earning a salary. If your passion, your purpose, or whatever you call it is not providing a solution, change it. You won't stay in business for long. That is why when cake making and decorations came to this town, those who were making cakes, those who were decorating had money. But today everybody's making cakes, so there's no money in the business again. It brought a solution, but now the solution is not solutioning again. It's not giving. So you want to think of what the world needs today and think of how to create your purpose, create your solution around it. Gentlemen, the real truth is that you can become. The real truth is that you can find your purpose. You can push your business with all the passion in the world. But where you fail to stretch, where you fail to be a solution, where you look only into yourself and you don't look around the environment to bring a solution to them, you will actually be frustrated. You may start, but you won't thrive. I pray you thrive. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you very much. I think we just take one question, because this is absolutely indigenous. I think I've known Morgan for quite a long time, and for the period of time I've known him, this is the very first time he hasn't kept to time. That is maybe because of the theme of this conference, he had to stretch for the first time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for him. Thank you. I think I can say this authoritatively because I'm proud to say I am an alumnus of More Leadership Academy. When many people ask me, Emma, you said you did accountancy undergraduate? I said yes, but I later went to More Leadership Academy. And of course, that is why you could speak in English. Aside from what I learned with the former SSG at Queen of Apostles Seminary, he's also an attempted priest like myself. But yesterday he said he's a reverend daddy. So you're welcome, former SSG. Thank you. And everybody I've been talking about Capital Luxury, they were mentioning somehow. I think that is one of the only indigenous companies. They can travel from Akwa Ibom to Uyo, to Lagos, to Abuja, and still have internet in the bus. And then you have everything around you inside the bus. So let me acknowledge the MD and CEO of Capital Luxury. Please rise, Mr. Didion, for the recognition. Thank you very much. Thank you for stretching. Please sit down. Thank you. God bless you. All right, please to just take, Morgan says one. Okay, we take you because you are right here. The rest of the people, you can go to More Leadership Academy with 25,000 to ask your question. So please, on behalf of everybody, just this one.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Akani in a cottage, Ukbong. I want to ask Morgan this question because he has been telling us about More Leadership Academy and how he arrived where he is. But he didn't tell us how he entered into government. And that is the most interesting part of it, because I know that is where he is making wave, and that is where everybody knows him about. So please, sir, can you tell us how you were endeared into the heart of the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Udom Emmanuel, to appoint you as essay? Thank you very much.
I don't know, is that business?
No, it's business too, because he gives it night to most of us. Thank you.
Pastor Jacob, please. Should I answer that? Pastor Jacob says it's not business. That's actually, that's the essence. You want me to say something to that? All right. Please. Thank you. You know, you have to consult in matters like this. So having consulted everyone, I'll just give you an answer. Now, normally, the first and very direct answer is that for me, I offer value. So you see, when I was given appointment, I wasn't a member of the PDP, but I had something that they needed. And I was given the opportunity to offer that value. And that's what it was. And that is what it still is, till today. I feel like that at the time that you lose value, at the time you don't have anything to offer again, you should not even be looking for political offices. And then you also see that I have been able to maintain a very focused and functional relationship with anybody who gets into office. You read the scriptures, you read stories about people like Daniel. Bible will say they stayed through plenty administrations. They weren't going to lobby and do all of those things. It is that everybody who needed counsel knew that Daniel had counsel, and they would go to him. So please, my friends, from where you are, for instance, we now have an SSA on entrepreneurial development, for instance. He's a businessman. So now they needed somebody to lead business people, and they brought him out. Now that is to say that from your shop, when they need somebody who can do what you're doing very well, they can bring you out. So keep doing it. Thank you very much.
I'm not going to let you go. I sense trouble for you, my brother. No, don't go. There's trouble. Mr. Senodo wants to ask you a question. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Mother, that was awesome. Great job. But one thing I think you need to spend a bit more time on, because sometimes when we're chasing deadlines and we're running for time, we may not spend the crucial time on something that we really need to dwell on. Ikigai is a principle that the young ones really need to understand. You and I have rushed over it because we're chasing time. And it will be sad if they leave here and they don't completely understand how those four bubbles tie together and why it is the essence for how you make money. It isn't about picking up all this knowledge. Oh, it might tang no phone. And you can't do anything with it. So I need you to understand that principle. If all you get out of today is understanding how you take passion to money, you would have been successful. So if you can just take just 3 minutes and unpack a key gear, and let's be sure that at least we leave that on the table. I'll be very grateful.
Okay, so I've been asked to do it in 1 minute. I don't know how realistic that is. So can you just put that back up so that we can just see the pictures? I think the pictures would help. Emma Kwame said I stretched with 6 minutes. I think that's within the realms of reality in Nigeria. So, okay, that's it. That is it. Please, can we see this board? Can you talk back to me, please? Can we say it? All right, so principally, we are saying that people do the things they do as they live because of one of the circles. Whatever you're doing today, the business you're doing today, it is really because of one of the circles. But we are proposing today, or Ikigai proposes, that those who get versatile, those who get sustained in what they do, are those who can function at the intersection of the four circles. So you are doing the business you're doing maybe because it is what you get paid for. You don't love it. Some of us, we don't love the jobs we're doing. True or false? We don't love it. If you are given a chance, you would be a bouncer at a club. But because you don't have the opportunity, you are a secretary at some person's office. You are doing it because you are paid for it. We're now saying that some other people do what they do because they are good at it. For example, when Raphael Edem, for example, when Mark Babio started anchoring events, they were not paid for it. When I started doing MCs, all they gave to me, for instance, will be Coke or a bottle of wine. But I did it because I was good at it. But I would trek to the venue because I wasn't paid for it. Now, other people do what they do because they love it. They enter the bathroom and they start singing. They have recorded nothing, but they love it. They are in the choir, more than 3 choirs in this Uyo. They are singing and hosting concerts every other evening. They love it. Now, others do it because it is what the world needs. Nobody is paying them. Sometimes they don't even love it. The activists are here. The social crusaders are here. They are the first to carry placards to Barracks Road. They have told them there are policemen there. But they say the world needs free and compulsory education. Our parents need gratuity, so they go. Nobody is paying them. They don't love the sun. I remember one day I joined the protest and I walked around Uyo and it rained. I was shaking, but the world needed the protests. Do you understand me? Now, but what we are saying is that sometimes if you're doing just what you love, if you're not being paid for it, love does not win elections for politicians. If you're doing just what you love, you would be broke in what you love. That is why some of us are MC, some of us are doing amazing things, but your parent is still feeding you and you are 35. Stop doing it in the name of Jesus. All right, so now, what we're basically now saying now that even a combination of the two circles may not still give you what you want. If you do what you love and what you are good at, it is described as passion. But passion alone, you will be passionately broke. Now, if you do just what you love and what the world needs, you need to know that most of us are very insignificant in the world equation. As a matter of fact, some of the things you are doing, the world may not see it. Those who did only what the world needed, they died at it. You remember the lady that said herself a bless? Just to end some stuff. The world needed the protest, but she's dead. Her family is missing her. If she was married, the husband is missing her. If she had children, the children are now orphans. The world needed it, but it didn't really matter to her pocket and to her family's pocket. And then, of course, if you do just what you are paid for, you will be doing what Mahatma Gandhi describes as business without morality. It is what makes you the cup you use to measure gari for those of us in the village. It is what makes you shift the end of that peak milk bottle. For those of us who are doing palm kernel business, it is what makes you mix the cover of the palm kernel with the real palm kernel. It is what makes you sign 7 o'clock when you arrive the office at 10:30 for the civil servant. It is because you are doing what you are paid for. If you love it, you would arrive on time. If you love it and you are good at it, you do it and you arrive on time. But what we're principally suggesting is that, because this is really a tool for you to find purpose. It is what business people should use at the start. At the start, when you say, what kind of business should I do? Or as you are now, if you're struggling, you can also use this tool to say, do I need a change? So you put this thing as a scale, and you put your business on top of it. Do I love it? Am I paid for it? Am I good at it? And if you can answer yes to all of it, you are living at the center of your dream. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the very wonderful barrister Morgan Ekanem. Can we put our hands together, please? Put your hands together. Put your hands together. Lovely presentation. Thank you so much. We'll take just one remark after now from the former secretary to the state government. But in the meantime, I would like for the multimedia team to kindly project some of our sponsors as we say a very big thank you to some of the corporate bodies who have done what it takes to ensure that this conference, Ibom Ignite 2023, comes out fine. And so I want to say a very big thank you to the gathering. Thank you, the Joshua Generation. Thank you, Royalty Group. Thank you, the Akwa Ibom State Government. Thank you, Ibom Leadership and Entrepreneurial Development Stories, I think. Thank you also to Capital Luxury. Thank you, UNK Limited. Thank you, Hensec. A very big thank you to Ibom Air. Thank you, UBA. Thank you, Anchor Insurance. Thank you, Zenith Bank. Thank you, JMK. Limek Development Link Limited. Thank you so much. Akwa Savings and Loans Limited, we are indeed grateful. Champion Breweries, we are indeed grateful. C Group of Companies, we are grateful. Keystone Bank, thank you. Paralex Bank, thank you. Move Media, thank you. Tropicana Mall, thank you. We're indeed grateful to all of you sponsors. And we're very sure that next year you want to do business with us again. It is still the Ibom Ignite